When I was preparing the homily for today, I was a little bit shocked. My shock was that last Sunday, Jesus praised Peter. He called him a rock, and he gave him the keys. But today, these things are coming vice versa. The question which came to my mind was, what did Peter tell Jesus when he took him aside? After the talk of Jesus and Peter, Jesus came out with strong words. He told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." They are not good words. It's not a good phrase to Peter, who was a rock, to Peter who was given the key. But that was the reality of what Peter shared with Jesus when Jesus announced that he was going to Jerusalem so that he can suffer, he can die on the cross. Peter did not accept that reality. So that, my dear brothers and sisters, as Christians, we cannot avoid suffering. If we want glorification, we have also to accept suffering. Peter did not like to have suffering. He wanted Jesus to be a king without suffering. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let us also see suffering in our life and interpret it in a Christian perspective. Today the story is shifted from Peter being a hero and being a rock to be an obstacle. So Jesus wants to challenge my discipleship. He wants me to think, why do I follow him? He wants us to think what kind of a Messiah Jesus is. And we have to follow those steps. Today Jesus is asking you, what is your motive of being a follower of him? What's your motive of being a Christian? What's your motive of observing God's commandments? What's your motive of being here in the church this evening? Do you want to pray so that you cannot suffer? Do you observe 10 commandments so that you cannot suffer? Not the case. Sometimes the more we become honest with God, the more we become sincere with God, the more we'll suffer. This is not our case. It was the case of Jesus himself. No one was innocent like Jesus. No one was so faithful like Jesus, but he went to the cross. He suffered until death. So, my dear brothers and sisters, the true disciples follows the master. The right position of the disciple of Jesus is being behind his master. The challenge of the Christian life is to follow Jesus. This is my challenge. How can I follow Jesus who suffers? I want the Jesus who is the victor, not a suffering Jesus. But we are tempted sometimes to make Jesus to follow us, to follow our ambitions, to follow our desires. We are tempted to lead Jesus and not Jesus to lead us. My dear brothers and sisters, the truth is Jesus has to lead us to the cross. Let us ask ourselves, do I accept the cross as the way to glorification? Do I see the cross as the means for me to see the power of God? My dear brothers and sisters, in following Jesus, in taking the cross, there are challenges. These challenges, Peter did not want them. We have to accept those challenges of being Christians. One of the challenges, if we want to be a sincere Christian, a true Christian, is to deny ourselves. To deny oneself means to make God the ruling principle. It's not just to make God the ruling principle. More than that, my passion should be ruled by God. I should not follow my passions. I should not follow my desires. I should not follow what I want. I have to follow what God wants from me. If part of that following Jesus is suffering, I have to accept it. Another challenge of being a follower of Jesus is to take up a cross. The cross has to be our goal. When I get the cross, I should not lament. I should not be blaming. I have to take it with the desire that at the end I'm going to win. We have a lot of the crosses in our lives. Maybe the sickness can be your cross. Maybe taking of the family's care can be your cross. Maybe I have a special people in my family members, which they need a special care. This can be your cross, and you have to accept it genuinely and help them sincerely. The financial crisis can be your cross. Maybe you have the children who they need some financial assistance so that they can stand, and you don't have. How do you take that? I have to take it with the hope that always God will make the means to accomplish those challenges. So, my dear brothers and sisters, we need to abandon personal ambition in order to serve Jesus. Let us render the greatest services to Jesus Christ, even when the reward will be small and the prestige non-existent. We have to sacrifice time, we have to sacrifice our leisure and our pleasure in order to serve God through the service of others. Thus, following Jesus Christ, being disciples of Jesus, means to render to Jesus Christ a perfect obedience. Christians walk in the footsteps of Christ. Wherever he may lead me, I have to follow him. I'm the disciples of Jesus when I obey him. So let us ask ourselves today, am I an obstacle, or am I a disciple of Jesus? Let us not be the obstacle to Jesus. Let us be the disciples of Jesus.